Hello.
Hey, how are you? Good morning or afternoon.
I'm well, yeah, afternoon for me, morning for you.
Yeah, late
So,
morning here.
so what are you're going to be painting while you're talking? What are you painting?
Oh, tempting
Can you
to.
say?
So I'm painting the final batch of jackets for this exhibit I'm doing on Friday the 13th.
Oh
It's
yeah,
called
it's the
Made
denim.
in Denim.
Yes, that's cool.
Yeah, so I've been painting nonstop for the last couple months for the exhibit, and yeah, I can tell you, I haven't posted what I'm doing, but I can tell you I'm doing right now I'm doing The Shining and I'm doing Michael Jackson's Thriller and the like purple Jason from the video game. Any of
Oh,
those ring a
are we
bell?
already? There we go. Sorry, the last part
Th-
turned out a little bit.
Did I lose you?
No, I'm still here. Oh,
Okay. You were a little choppy, but if you can hear me.
okay. Let me. I don't know if it's my connection or yours.
Um,
Okay,
let's see. Well,
is
you
it
let me
better?
know if you need me to.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. See, well, I tried to be really cool. So I'm at work right now. I'm not clocked in yet, but I was in the basement, which it's this old Bed Bath and Beyond in the basement, super creepy. And I was like, well, that'd be fun to record in.
Oh, that might be why I couldn't hear you. Okay, that is creepy.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, never mind. I guess I can't record in the basement. So anyway,
Yeah,
so you were saying what you were painting. Sorry.
no, that's okay. Yeah, I'm painting a Shining scene, the Michael Jackson's Thriller, and the neon like purple Jason from the video game that's popular.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's
I'm
cool.
working
That's
on
funny.
those.
I watched The Shining last night.
Oh yeah?
I have not seen that since I don't know, maybe the 90s, I guess.
Oh yeah, it's a great one. Yeah, I'm doing
Yeah.
the classic, him coming through the door, the frame
Yeah.
of the door. But yeah, so I'm just kind of multitasking because the exhibit's next week, and I'm going to New York in a couple days for a wedding, so I'm losing a few days of painting, so I'm just round the clock painting, painting,
Yeah.
painting.
So what's your favorite thing that you've painted so far?
Hmm. Um, I'd have to say recently the overalls I made. I don't know if you saw them. The Laurie Strode, Michael Myers overalls I made. Uh, I posted them
Probably.
a couple weeks ago. Those are pretty exciting. They got
Yeah.
really great feedback, and it took about 80 hours of work. So I,
Oh
I
my
was
God.
I was proud of the results, but I was exhausted. So,
Yeah.
but I am probably most excited for people to see the hardcore Scream fans to see my finished Gal Weathers jacket that'll be at the exhibit
Oh, that's
because
amazing.
we all love Gal Weathers. So,
So which is your favorite Scream movie?
oh, I mean the first one for sure, but I would say I really enjoy the second one probably
Yeah.
just as much. I love them all. I'm a true fan, but the
See,
first
mine is
two
the
are.
mine's three, and that's very unpopular for most people. People get mad.
Oh, I mean, I'm hearing that more and more that but we just actually watched my husband and I watched Scream 3. We got the like an extended or deleted scenes version.
Oh wow.
Um and the deleted scenes are all black and white, like they're just kind of rough footage, but they're inserted into the film where they would be if it was there.
Yeah.
Um and I actually, if they kept those scenes and had a different, if they had an alternate beginning. Um, oh no, they didn't have. Yeah, they had an alternate beginning. They had different scenes. Uh, yeah, I really was exciting. Same as Scream 4. We saw deleted scenes for Scream 4 that were inserted and we watched that recently, and I would have liked that so much better if they had kept it the way it was. Um, so it's pretty wild the changes that were made.
Now, three, the original opening was in the movie theater with Jada Pinkett, right?
That's two.
Oh, okay. See, I'm getting all confused.
No, three is the cotton opening, right?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. 100%
Yeah.
cut.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's right. And the Creed song, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. That opening was a little different. Um, they didn't have the girlfriend in it as much. It was
Yeah,
more about him. It was a slower pace, but yeah, it's just interesting what they do in the final edit.
yeah. I need to watch
Magic of
four.
movie making.
I need to watch four more again because I feel like that's the one I'm least familiar with.
Hmm. That was kind of my least favorite, and but like I said, watching the deleted scenes and the alternate opening, I actually enjoyed it a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I love Scream 3 because, well, A, Parker Posey,
Oh, she's amazing.
and I could watch anything with her. But and her character is the best, which I hope that they revive her for one of the movies.
I know.
And it's campy and it's silly and it makes fun of itself. And it's like I like it when it doesn't take itself too seriously, I guess.
Yeah, she's brilliant in that. She's brilliant in everything. So like we love her. So if she
Oh
comes
yeah.
back, that'd be phenomenal.
Oh yeah. Now I have a lot of friends that they're like, "Oh, I've never seen Party Girl," and I'm like, "You need to watch that like right now."
Yeah,
And
she's
House
great.
of Yes.
Yep. Yep, yep, yep. So
So
how did
what?
you get
Oh,
oh,
sorry.
sorry. How did you get started with your podcast? How long have you been doing it?
Like 2 months, and it just was kind of accidental. A friend of mine, Ricky, he does a podcast called Rick or Treat,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like a horror. He does a lot of reviews, and I was on there twice for X and Pearl,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess that's where I kind of got the bug. And then I joked around with him about starting one, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I should." And then he's like, "Well, what would you talk about?" I'm like, I don't know. And then he was like, "What are you interested in?" I'm like, "Well, Halloween, Madonna. I've been writing a book about my childhood trauma." And he said, "We'll call it Traumadonna." I'm like, "Perfect."
Ah, perfect. Yeah.
But I ask a lot of people on it. They're like, "Well, I don't know anything about Madonna." I'm like, "Well, it's not about Madonna really anything. It just is. Like, I don't really have
Mm-hmm.
set questions or it's just kind of like just whatever happens through conversation is very organic."
Right, right. No, that's great. Yeah,
It's
I'd
been
say
very,
anyway. Go ahead.
oh, sorry. I was just saying it's been therapeutic.
Yeah, I bet. Totally. I have so many friends. I'm always like, you should do a podcast. It's a great way to get your voice heard. And yeah, no, well, congrats on getting it going.
Yeah, thanks. So I've asked a lot of my horror people, what was your kind of gateway into horror and all the good things, all the spookiness? Like what got you into that?
Um, it's my earliest memory of wanting to see like a scary movie so badly really was when Scream came out. And I was in sixth grade and I wasn't allowed to go to the theater to see it. And I just remember seeing the trailers. That year, the late 90s was like, Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, all those great
Yeah.
films that we all still love. So that really was when I started wanting to like see them and I loved them. But I didn't have friends that shared that common interest with
Hmm.
me. So I kind of just like would watch them on the down low, or like after school I would be like, Mom, let's go to Blockbuster. Can I just rent something to watch? So I kind of always watched them alone. Like I didn't
Yeah.
have, and I think my mom secretly liked watching them like in the background. Like she'd be like ironing something for school the next day for us, and I'd be watching like Hills Have Eyes or something, and she's like so disturbed, but like intrigued. And
Yeah.
I think I secretly get my love of the genre from her, even though she won't admit it.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so I really kind of immersed myself in it like just by myself. I was also an artist growing up, like visual artist, so I always was just that kind of loner kind of. I played sports, but I was always doing art. I was in, singing chorus and ran for school council, like I was a good kid that just loved horror and kind of kept that like not a secret because I wasn't ashamed of it, but I didn't have anyone to share that passion with. So
Yeah.
um, I think it kind of left my um, like I'd say through high school and college, I was so focused on theater and acting and performance and my visual roots kind of my visual um, what am I trying to say? Like I was going to go to art school, but that took a back seat because I went to theater school instead.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was so busy in the theater world for those college years that I wasn't watching horror movies and like, um, again didn't have friends with that common interest really, or didn't seek it
Right.
out. So it really wasn't until after college again, revisited like those movies and found friends that loved it, and then especially here in LA when I moved here 15 years ago, slowly, bonding over those movies with friends, and kind of revisiting all those movies from the 90s and all the ones, since. So
Yeah.
now I have so many friends and um, contacts that were like we all like gush about movies we love, and
Yeah.
there's so many reasons why we love them and unpacking them and
Hmm.
why we feel so close to them and why I
Yeah.
started this company,
Yeah.
was because of that weirdo outcast kind of
Hmm.
thing that I saw in myself and also in these characters and the underdog and all that. So it all kind of came full circle since COVID when I started the company. So
Right.
um, I really became more hardcore of a horror fan than ever, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What area did you grow up in?
Well, everyone jokes because I'm from New Jersey, and they're like, "Well, that's not a small town." So like, but I was in a normal suburb, 30 minutes from New York City, but
Yeah.
we were in a bubble, like definitely was a loner, and um, even though it was like a densely populated area, I wasn't like I felt just as alone sometimes than like as if I lived on a farm somewhere, like sometimes you're just isolated no matter where you are. So
Yeah.
that was kind of like my experience growing up. So I kind of wanted to take that small town hero phrase that's used a lot and kind of flip it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, because
and
weirdos can be heroes too.
exactly. I want
I
I
took,
will I wanted weird to feel like a good word, like a
yeah.
and I think I'm hearing that more and more and seeing that more and more, and people respond to that with what I'm doing, and um, it's like that. No one's normal. It's okay to be weird. That kind of
Yeah.
understanding of it.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there's really any such thing as normal anyway. I mean, I think and normal isn't something that I run from.
Right. No, I agree.
I definitely did grow up a small town weirdo, and it's funny because a lot of people like you, they give me shit, and they're like, "Oh, well, you grew up in California in the Bay Area, and that must have been real easy." And I'm like, "No, because I came out in 1991 when I was in the seventh grade,
Oh wow.
and I grew up in a small little like farming town, kind of near Stockton."
Okay.
And so it was not progressive. And even though San Francisco was an hour away, it was, I had to escape there to be myself.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the world around you is what you create when you're young, and if your world feels small, it's small,
Yeah. And it was like they had the the 4-H club and the FFA, and um, it was just this tiny little, like, we had one grocery store. There was
Mhm.
nothing there when we moved there, and it was kind of miserable. And then I go back to visit, and it's kind of still the same, and the same people are still living there who gave me shit in school.
Yeah.
So Yeah. I don't know. And I have a lot of people too that are like, well, why would you leave California? I'm like, it's a big world for a reason. It's just staying in the same place. I think it does a lot for your brain to explore and to live different places and to, see different things. And if you just stay in the same place, it's like you're not going to grow.
No, I see that. I mean, so much, and not to say people that are back home aren't growing, but they're not experiencing. Um, there's just so much to experience, like diversity and different
Yeah.
cultural backgrounds and everything. So yeah, I'm grateful that I was able to like take that step and move when I did too. It's a hard
Yeah.
step to take, but
Oh, yeah.
definitely, helped me break out of my shell. So
Yeah. I know for me though, mine, it happened accidentally, I guess, the breaking out of my shell, because I think I started doing it in school, but then when I moved here, I moved for my ex, which
mhm.
obviously that didn't work out too well. But I moved to Chattanooga originally, and I hated it. And then I followed him to Atlanta, and that's where I've been for, I guess, over 20 years. And it's this little like blue dot in a very red state.
Yeah.
Um,
You like it there though?
I do. I mean, every time I think of leaving, I get a good job. Like I used to work at a doggy daycare for 13 years, and the pandemic happened. And
Mm.
then Spirit Halloween kind of saved me because I would work there. I started working there in 2020, and then that's how I met my boss, who then we started working for Marvel. And then there are lots of filming and studios out here.
Yeah.
So it's just like every time I try and go, the world says, nope, there's more for you. All right.
Yeah, the universe is leading you
Yeah.
to stay there.
I, and I think that's the problem sometimes, because I think a lot of people don't listen to the universe, and there's signs everywhere.
Oh, totally.
I mean,
I
it's
mean,
like when I
it's
was,
yeah, it's hard to if the signs are risky, it's hard to take that risk. But yeah, you gotta trust them.
I almost feel like if it's scary, then you should. I mean, as long as it's not illegal and it's going to hurt somebody, I think the scariness and the jittery and the butterflies, I think that means you're in the right direction.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Because
I
if
agree.
everybody was safe and just stayed where they're, in their own lane and where they're supposed to be, then I don't think we'd have half the things that we have, books, movies, art, etc.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's why not everyone does the same thing because everyone has different you know, like not everyone's gonna leave their hometown and move. Like there's always just a few of us that make that jump because
Yeah.
not everyone has it in them to do that. And yeah.
Yeah, I miss it, but the thing, I mean, it's so expensive to live in California.
Hmm.
I mean, it's great. I love it. My best friend lives in Covina, so I go and visit her a lot. And I love the area. I didn't really care for it when I was a kid, but then I saw it through new eyes. And I love going back home. It's just, I like being there, but it doesn't really feel like home anymore. And sometimes Atlanta does, and sometimes it doesn't. So it's like, I don't know where I'll land eventually, but I'm open to, I guess, wherever the signs point me.
Yeah, no, you have to be open, but it's good that you have work and
Yeah,
and at times like
I was.
these, stay where the
Yeah,
work is.
oh, yeah. When the strike happened, I was like, "What the fuck am I gonna do?" And then I was like, "Wait, Spirit Halloween, cool."
Yeah, no, I'm the same way, and I know there's meetings today with SAG, so I'm like praying for a good outcome because
Yeah,
it's been really
yeah.
tough
And I,
navigating that.
and it's a really weird time if they're gonna go back. I don't know, because it's like I feel like they're gonna start up again, and then I don't know if they're gonna take the Christmas break or if they're gonna work during it or what. Because if not, then it would be pointless to start now. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna take weeks to. I mean, it's gonna take time to make it all to get things started again anyway.
Oh
So
yeah.
I just say the sooner the better, so that we can like
Oh yeah.
just get things going. Or at
Yeah. Because
least
we
like, we can't talk about much, we can't promote certain
right,
things, we can't,
right.
you know, um, audition for things. So it's even if things don't start up right away, at least we can like, feel like we're allowed to start doing
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope there's a good outcome soon. Um,
Yeah. And
but
it's weird,
yeah.
and it's I'm sure you've had this too. It's weird because when people who aren't in the industry and explaining, because I've had people go, "Oh, they're just whiny actors and writers." I'm like, "Well, it's bigger than that."
Oh
Um,
yeah, people really don't get it, that aren't in the industry, and why should they? Like that's not their profession.
right.
But yeah, it's very easy to label the whole industry like that, like whining and entitled, and but like when you see the statistics that like, oh gosh, what is it? Was it like 90 something percent or 89% of all union members can't SAG members can't make their insurance, like can't make
Yeah.
enough to get insurance, like it's a problem, like
Yeah. I think I read somewhere it was 27%, or that's the only people that actually can afford it or
yeah,
make
it's
enough.
it's it's very low the amount of
Yeah.
people that can make it, yeah, and those are
Yeah.
the big stars,
And
pretty much.
it's not even that, but it's like I've seen people who posted their take home, and it's like once you get done paying everybody, and then it's nothing. Nobody can afford to live on it.
Yeah,
That's just the basics. It's not even getting into the whole AI crap, which at first I was like, oh, it's kind of interesting, but it's just kind of scary to me.
yeah. I mean, we definitely have to use it as a tool. It's not going anywhere, but they
Yeah,
need to make sure there's safeguards in place, and I really hope that um, that is part of the deal that we get, is that they can't use anyone's likeness,
yeah,
because that's going to just destroy everything.
yeah. Well, then they'll do the creepy stuff like they did for Michael Jackson or Whitney Houston or Tupac, where they do the holograms and they do shows like that.
Right, and then
Or just
exactly, and they'll do it without your permission because you
yeah,
sell your soul to the devil sometimes, and
yeah,
you don't realize it. And yeah, just hope we square that away because it is a scary technology, and I know a lot of artists that are using it and writers, and but as tools like to like
yeah,
assist them, not necessarily ways to, you know, not the ways that people are talking about now that are like horrible.
yeah,
So I know there's benefits, but as a whole, it's really moving fast and it's kind of scary. So
yeah. Yeah, I
yeah,
had one of those apps for a minute, and I would use the things as like a drawing prompt. So I would just be like, okay, plug in whatever, but then I would draw whatever I was looking at and not, post it or anything.
right, right.
Just sometimes to get like a visual, because sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I have to look at stuff, especially like if it's like, well, it's a bad example for AI. I was about to say hands because AI does horrible hands.
Oh, good to know.
Um, I hate drawing hands and feet. Usually, if I draw something, their hands will be behind their back and it will only go to like their, torso.
Hands are tough. I have to a lot of times for me, I have to have my husband like position himself a certain way so I could see
Yeah.
where things are in the body because it's hard to see it through a picture sometimes, like where they're placed, and
Yeah.
but hands, like just in general, hands and the position of your shoulders and arms.
Hmm.
Um, I'm so obsessed with getting it right, and it's
Yeah.
it's so frustrating when I can't.
Oh, yeah. Well, and it's also like sometimes it's just symmetry, like getting
Yeah,
the eyes to match. And because sometimes you'll just have one that's like wonky and it's like, it just looks like you're doing lazy eye or something.
I know, I know. I mean, we see more than as creators, we see things that are wrong with it and no one else can see. So like
Oh, yeah.
that,
Oh, yeah.
I'm never content when I finish a piece. I'm always like, oh God, I could have done this. I could have done this. But you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I,
I
I,
don't think I'm really, it's funny because I have creative ADD and I want to do everything. But then what I do, even when I get compliments, I still, I just pick it apart because, you're your own worst critic.
Yep, totally.
Um,
Not gonna
Although I
change.
can say what's been weird is because I've had to listen to the podcast because I have to make sure that it's like all copacetic and it's not, there aren't any glitches or weird things. But
Mhm.
I've finally gotten to the point where I don't cringe when I hear my voice.
Oh, I know. I think we all cringe, but yeah, it's good to just accept it.
Yeah. It took me like 11 episodes, but I was like, all right, it's fine. This is, you know, um, but
I'm sure
yeah.
I'll cringe when I hear my voice on this because I like just woke. I like shoved cereal
Oh
down my
God.
throat, and now I'm painting, and I'm so tired. So apologize if
Yeah.
I'm like low
No,
energy.
no. No, I get
I
it. I had like a cup or two of coffee. I took a trazodone last night to go to bed because I'm an insomniac.
uh,
So I'm still groggy.
yeah, I haven't been sleeping well either, just because of my brain hasn't shut off. Like I'm painting kind of late at night sometimes with the ring light on, like above my head, so I could see really
Oh yeah.
bright. And it's kind of that effect, like when you're on the computer staring at a bright light, your brain is just like wired.
Yeah.
Um, so I've kind of gone to bed with like that bright light still like shining in my face. It feels like so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
but
what kind of paint do you use when you do the on the denim
so I'm
or just
using
in general?
yeah, I'm using fabric paint. Um,
Okay.
and a couple years ago, I didn't know anything about this stuff at all, the fabric paint. And if people can use acrylic paint if they mix a special medium into it, which makes it flexible on the fabric and
Hmm.
permanent, so it doesn't crack. But I've opted to use actual fabric paint that you don't have to mix any special mediums into.
Yeah.
So there's a company called Jacquard Products that I've been using for the last couple of years, and they actually are partnering with me on the exhibit I'm doing next week as well. They provided me with all the paint to use, which is so wonderful.
Yeah.
Because it's not cheap, and it's really
No.
high end paint. And so uh, I'll be using that. Sorry. I'll be using their products, until they don't make them anymore.
Yeah.
It's because they're really great. They work
Yeah.
on leather, denim, all different materials.
I don't think I've
Um,
ever used, I mean, other than like, back in the 90s with like puff paint or whatever. I don't think I've used fabric paint to like paint like a, portrait or whatever.
yeah, I mean, it's thicker. It's a little bit thicker of a consistency sometimes, especially the darker, like black. The black is just really thick, so I've just learned techniques to make it work, and
Yeah.
the brushes are really hard on the denim, so I go through a lot of brushes because they get ruined pretty quick.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, so I've kind of like not I don't want to say mastered because I'm always learning, but I definitely compared to where I was when I started this, I've
Yeah.
definitely m-
You
mastered is a
finessed.
loose word, but like I've really figured out my technique and what
Yeah.
works for me. And but again, still always learning. You know, there's always hacks out there, and
Yeah.
I learned from other people and watching
Yeah.
YouTube videos, and um, yeah. So far so good with the process, and
Yeah.
I'm definitely painting faster than I ever have. I usually take about um, I usually would reserve like a solid month to do a piece because it's such a long
Oh, wow.
drying process. Like you
Yeah.
can't just keep layering paint because that's when it doesn't dry and it can crack. So um, I since I started painting in August, I've been doing like 4 or 5 at a time.
Yeah.
So as one's drying, I do another one. As that's drying, I do the next one. As that's drying, I do the next one. Then I go back to the first one I started. So I'm getting a lot done faster.
Yeah.
So I have about 15 new pieces that I did in the last 2 months for the exhibit, which is where I usually have done maybe 2 a month. So I'm
Mhm.
definitely kicking it up, but I can't go on like this every month because I'll go insane. But I'm prepping for this exhibit, which is not the norm. Like I normally have a slower process just so I can breathe a little bit. and
Yeah.
actually take care of myself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I
yeah,
know.
but this is a a fun, exciting opportunity that I'm just willing to kind of put everything into, and I'll take care of myself in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
So
I know. I always say
yeah,
I'll sleep when I'm dead, which is probably true. Although
yeah.
I'll probably be an insomniac ghost, so I doubt I'll
Oh,
just.
don't say that.
Well, I'm a light sleeper and I'm an insomniac, so it's terrible. So I usually have to take something to help me sleep because it's just I can't really ever stay asleep, and then my brain just works overtime.
Ugh, yeah. I mean, I've had those moments, so I can't imagine dealing with it all the time. Have you
Yeah.
always had that?
Yeah. I've just never slept well. And it's just and it's little things that bug me, like water in the drain pipe, crickets
Uh,
outside, the ka-chink 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 of the little fan pull. Like it's like I'm very sound sensitive as well. And
so,
so
so
I
those
have to
those
have
sound machines don't help at all. They make
no,
it
well
worse.
it's I the fan is the only thing that really works.
Hmm.
Because the sound machines too, it's like sometimes they'll have like the animal noises of the ocean, but then I think those things, like anything other than white noise, makes my brain start to think. Because I'll be like,
Yeah, I get it.
oh, that's a cricket or that's a bird, and then I start picturing what bird it is, and then I start thinking about other things, and I'm like, yeah, it's a downward spiral.
Yeah, I get that. Have you ever meditated?
Yes, and it's been a minute. I probably should start doing that more. Um, because
Yeah,
that
I
would help.
started that. I started that TM meditation, transcendental meditation.
Oh wow.
Um, and it you do it twice a day for 20 minutes, and it's the kind of meditation that you allow those sounds that make your brain kind of think and wander. Like you're allowed to kind of wander. You don't have to be like thinking of a brick wall, and you know what I mean.
Yeah,
So it's very forgiving in terms of your you can you can think when you meditate. You're not like punishing yourself if you think about things. So
yeah,
it's kind of a freeing experience, and it lets your body really rest. Actually, I don't know.
yeah,
Maybe you should look into that. It's been really helpful. It's like
yeah,
I used to be so hesitant about meditation, and then now that I do it, I like crave it because it gives you like a 20-minute reset
yeah,
um, twice a day that like I really crave.
yeah. Yeah, I think
So
I always just am on the go and I always forget to do that or, self-care and all that. It's just,
it's important.
yeah. I'm just like, oh
as
yeah, I guess
as I yeah.
I guess you should stop and slow down and take a moment and breathe.
I know I should practice what I preach sometimes, but it is like when I do go home and visit family and that don't have that practice at all. Like I
Yeah.
think I come from an Italian East Coast family where self care is like the last thing on the list.
Oh yeah.
Um, it's always taking care of everyone else first, and
Yeah.
and then I do realize that I'm doing a lot more than I think I am for myself because no one at home does anything. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everyone's healthy, but they don't really self care isn't really part of the routine.
Right.
So
Right.
I realize that I am taking care of myself, even though I feel like I'm you know um, digging myself into a early grave with all the work I'm doing. But
Oh yeah. I think definitely the way I'm taking care of myself is I'm listening and picking up on energy more so than I used to.
hmm
And I think that probably happened with COVID because my battery is not quite as big as it used to be. And so I'm just not as tolerant to certain energy. And I've just had to stop being friends with certain people and
oh
distance
yeah, that's
myself. This is hard because it's like then you just take it in and then you feel like shit and then you're tired and then, or you have those like really, the guilt friends.
yep, yep.
Like, oh, I never see you. I never hear from you. We never hang out. I'm like, the phone works both ways, and sometimes you're a lot.
Sure.
So it's hard, and it's like you don't want to like offend anybody, but then it's like what, life's too short. It's like if they're gonna get a bee in their bonnet, so be it.
Yeah, no, you gotta remove the crazy and,
Yeah,
focus on yourself when you can. And if
yeah,
people don't understand that, then, sucks for them.
exactly. So yeah, I've definitely, like, my social circle is a lot smaller. I don't go out as much. Um, and I really am very careful about who I'm spending my time with.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm a homebody too, and we go
Yeah.
out. Um, we go out our fair share. I'd say with Small Town Weirdo, I've been wanting to be out more and make connections, and it really does change the game when you're out there, but it's exhausting.
Oh yeah. Well, and
But
then there are times
yeah,
like when I feel kind of douchey. Like yesterday, we went to this fall festival, and I saw this artist who had some really cool work, and I was talking with her and everything. And all of a sudden, it just flew out of my mouth, and I was like, "Well, I have a podcast," and I was like, "Who am I?" But I was like, also, I want cool people on there. I want to talk to different people, so it's not douchey, but it just felt really weird. I'm like, and it just you sometimes you step back and you don't recognize yourself, but then you're like, but it's okay.
totally. No, I feel you there. I have become better at it, but I used to not want to force, anything onto anyone else that I was doing.
Yeah,
Um, but I think you find that people take interest in our creative journeys, and they want to know
yeah,
what we're up to. And
yeah.
if as long as you're sincere about it, and it comes from a place of like you can tell you're passionate about what you do, I think people
Hmm.
see that. It's I cringe when people are, doing it the other way, and it's like forced and just like
Oh, yeah.
needy, and so I,
Well,
I I'm so scared of coming across that way that I don't do it at all, and I've grown to like at least recognize that I'm not doing it that way. Um,
yeah. Well,
but
and
it,
it's
it
hard
is hard.
too, because like where you live, I know, I mean, and it's everywhere, but especially there, I mean, I know there is a lot of transparency, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like, so it's hard. And it's also hard too, because it's like when, like, I had to learn working in the industry that, you know, nobody is really your friend, and it's rare if they are, but it's just a weird circle, and you just try not to get caught up in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It's very true. I mean, no one cares until something's in it for them. That's kind of like what it feels like sometimes. And
yeah,
I hate
yeah,
I hate saying that because there are people that break that mold.
yeah,
But yeah, it's just you have to remind yourself that, you know, you got to do it yourself. No one's gonna do it for you. And but yeah, the funny thing about promoting artwork versus promoting acting work, I've had a it's been an easier time kind of talking about my art because it's like visual, you can see it right in front of you, and
yeah,
it's not me like I'm promoting the art versus really promoting me.
yeah,
So it's almost like I have an easier time doing that.
yeah.
Um
Well, and it's less
I've
competitive.
well, I still feel like, when I go to these conventions, I'm still like a newbie.
Yeah,
Um but there's always that fraud or that imposter syndrome feeling that we
yeah,
have, like, oh, there's
yeah.
someone that can do it better. Like, why am I here? Why are people getting my
Right.
stuff? You know,
Yeah.
but I think that happens to a lot of us.
Oh, I felt that way the minute, like the first day on my job when I drove into the studio, and I was like, I'm the shit. And then all of a sudden I got lost, and I was like, and we're back. And it's like I've had so many humbling experiences, which you need, because, you know, you need to not buy into that. But also, I can't remember where I heard it, but somebody once said that there is really no such thing as imposter syndrome. I
Hmm.
mean, I know there is, but they said, you know what? If you're in it, you're doing the thing, you're actually doing the thing. You're not being an imposter, you're actually doing it.
True. No,
So,
it's very true. It's just you're always when I first started doing all this, I really was like I felt that way though. Like I felt like why am I better than anyone else doing this? And
right.
maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I even if there's one person that does it, I would feel the not competition, but like the that I wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think people what I've learned is like at these conventions, there's like so many vendors, and you're all doing similar things.
Yeah.
It just comes down to what I've heard from people is your relationship to the customer, and you know, let them decide and see the passion behind the work. And if it speaks to them, then it speaks to them.
Yeah.
So I feel like, I think people have really seen my passion and behind it, and that's helped set me apart a little bit and
Yeah.
helps me to continue to grow as an artist. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
an exciting time, but it's a hard time too. I mean, it's
Well,
definitely an unstable profession to join my other unstable profession as an actor. So, you
yeah.
know, but
But I mean, as long as you still just keep having a passion for it and it's something that you love, and then you're genuine about it, because I think sadly it loses a lot
yeah, yeah,
when you're just trying to go for a certain thing, or like it has to be like this to please everybody. I'm like, it's about you and pleasing yourself first and
true.
foremost. You want
No,
people to like it and get into it, but it's like, what's the point if you're having a miserable time doing it?
yeah, yeah. No, it's very fulfilling when people, tell me they love their jacket or their shirt or,
Yeah.
because I, you know, one of the one of the things that affected me growing up was I didn't want attention on myself, and I was so shy and
Yeah.
wouldn't wear certain clothes that brought any kind of attention to me. And I mean like color, like nothing, like just nothing wild, but like I just wouldn't even wear like a backwards hat to school because I thought, oh, I'm not cool enough to wear a backwards hat like these other guys. Like I'm gonna look like I'm trying too hard, so I would kind of mute myself,
Yeah.
even though I had these like very artistic and like things that I wanted to do, and
Yeah.
so now it's really about not muting myself, and
Yeah.
this company has helped me, like I love, I mean, I wear so many of my shirts all the time because they're just everywhere. Like, what else am I gonna wear? Like, I have so
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
stacks of shirts, so I'm like self promoting all the time without even trying. But
Yeah.
growing up, I never would have been wearing, rainbow colors or things that said girl on it or queer
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
just or these horror icons, and it's definitely a liberating experience in my old age. So it's really rewarding when people have that experience,
Yeah.
wearing it as well. So
Well, I love the
it
shirt
makes
that
it
I
worth
have. I
it.
I wound up I don't even remember how I found your stuff, but I did. But I had actually one of those Instagram where I like won the shirt, and it was the
Right, right. Wasn't it the Violent
what's
Night
that?
thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love wearing that during the season because, I don't know. And it's been cool. Like I've told a lot of people that they're like, well, who's going to be on your next podcast? And like, oh, well, small town weirdo. And they're like, well, what's that? I'm like, well, and then I tell them about, the Finer Girl shirt. And that is a good note to end on. Because I'm curious, like, how stoked and like how much of an out of body experience that was with Jamie Lee Curtis.
um yeah, it really was like surreal. I if people have heard me talk about it, they can tune out right now, but I because I definitely talk about it a lot because people bring it up, because it was such a cool moment.
Yeah.
No, I had gotten the shirts to them through Judy Greer. We became kind of like Instagram um, friends, if you will, like through another friend,
Yeah.
and she was ordering some stuff and wound up ordering. Anyway, I was like, can I? She's like, Jamie Lee would love this Final Girl shirt, and I was like, Jamie Lee, like as in Jamie Lee Curtis. And she's like, yeah. So I was like, let me send you anything you need. So I gave her a few shirts for like thinking that Judy Greer would wear one, and Jamie Lee and Andy, who played her granddaughter.
Hmm.
Um, and then, a month or two later, my husband woke me up like, Jamie Lee's wearing your shirt on Instagram. Like, I had no idea when or where it would pop up.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was very surreal. Um, so yeah, I would say I still think it's surreal. Like when I think about it, like
Yeah.
people bring it up every day to me, and I'm so grateful that she was so supportive of it. And then I was able to join the campaign for Halloween Ends because of
Yeah.
the shirts, and um, going to the premiere. That whole experience felt like as a horror fan and as like an artist in that space, it felt like the Oscars for me. Like that night,
Yeah.
like being able to celebrate something I did, a
Yeah.
very small part of something I did for that franchise was
Yeah.
really, really special. So that I think is always gonna still be a pinch me moment that propels the
Total.
company forward, you know?
Yeah. But holy
Yeah.
validation, Batman.
Yeah, no, I know I really am so grateful for that
Yeah.
opportunity. Yeah, and that connection.
Yeah.
So,
It's strange when those things happen. Like years ago, I met Madonna because I'm probably one of the biggest Madonna fans you'll encounter. But I met her in New York. It was an MTV contest. Every time somebody asks me about it or I talk about it, it just feels like it never happened. Like I'm lying. So I'm like,
yeah.
those things don't happen, but they do. People have these awesome experiences and get to meet their idols or people they love or grew up with, and so it's just cool when that happens.
No, very cool, and it definitely helps me stay on track to know that I'm doing things that matter, that matter to me and
Yeah,
that fulfill me, and um yeah, so yeah. So hopefully it was scary though, because I was like, now what do I do? Like
yeah,
now that,
yeah,
like, where do I go from here? But it's been I'm constantly trying to find ways to motivate myself and the
yeah,
audience that's following me, and I'm grateful
yeah,
for the people that love this stuff. So
yeah, and just keep going and doing what you're doing, and you don't have to top yourself because people, obviously they've already responded and they still will continue. You've got a formula that works, and so just I think it's when people stray too far or they try too hard and it's not genuine. That's when I
yeah,
think people will be like, wait a minute.
no, that makes sense. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're
Well,
doing
thank you so
good.
much. Thank you, and thank you for having me on. And
Thank you for
um,
being on. So October 13th is your show.
yeah, so October 13th, Friday the 13th, so it's kind of perfect. I'll be doing an exhibit at the Line, Line, not Lion, but Line Hotel. It's part of Soho House, so it's a really trendy, beautiful hotel. Um, and it's in LA, in Koreatown, and it'll be from 6 to 10 on Friday night, and then all weekend long it'll be like more like open studio hours where I'm going to be painting live, and people can kind of shop my merch and see my jackets, kind of like an exhibit. They'll be on sale also. But everything's free admit, like not my stuff, but free admission, and everything's free. Grab a jacket.
Yeah.
Um, as I cry. Um, no, yeah. So anyone's welcome, and the more the merrier, and I hope people can stop by.
Yeah. Coincidentally, I think when this episode is going to drop, I feel like because I've been doing it on Fridays, and I feel like it's going to actually be on Friday the 13th. Oddly
Oh,
enough.
good. Then if that's the case, then I'll see you guys today.
Yeah. Well, I just realized I was like, well, I'm a week ahead, and it's so this week, and because that's next week, right?
Yeah, next week.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't
So
remind
yeah,
me.
yeah, it'll be. Oh, sorry.
No, I'm kidding. I just am like thinking, oh my God, I have no time. No, if it works out, great. If it doesn't, then to your listeners, I hope you had a good time.
Yeah. And then it sucks because you're going to be episode number 12. I wish it were 13 and 13, but you can't have everything.
I know, I can't all work out.
Yeah. All right.
Well,
Well,
thank you,
thank you.
buddy. I enjoyed talking to you.
Yes, I enjoyed it too. And good luck at the show.
Thank you very much. I'll have pictures up the wazoo when it's all over. So,
Awesome. All right. Well, good luck, and I'll talk to you soon.
all right, take care.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.